Brock Purdy's playing the best football of his career. All right, welcome into the Breer Report for October the 11th. Week 6 is underway. Thursday Night Football, the Niners beat the Seahawks in Seattle. Big NFC West showdown, and that's where we're going to start. First topic for this week is the Niners can now feel really good about where they're at. They're at 3-3. Obviously, the record is not what they were hoping for, but they've been through a lot. And so there are three things I think you can look at coming out of this game that are important to take away. Number one, Brock Purdy's playing the best football of his career. And it hasn't always looked pretty over the last few weeks, but they've needed him in some cases to be the best player on the field. It's something they really weren't asking of him his first 2 years in the league. And he showed an ability to level up with the way he's scrambling around now, the way he's making plays off schedule, the way he's moving the chains with his legs. And he's still really efficient as a passer. He had 129.3 quarterback rating against the Seattle defense that hasn't played great, but is still a proud unit. So I think you can feel really good about where Brock Purdy is, the way he's played without Christian McCaffrey in the lineup, with Deebo Samuel nicked up, with George Kittle nicked up, with Brandon Ayuk coming back out off of the hold-in. For a lot of different reasons, I think the Niners have to feel good about where they're at with Brock Purdy going forward. And as they get healthier, as their line starts to come together, it was a really good guard combination. Aaron Banks and Dominic Puny, the rookie third-round pick, those two have looked really good and should keep getting better. Of course, Trent Williams still getting his feet underneath him coming out of the holdout. You can feel really good about where Brock Purdy is, because if that offense continues to get healthier and continues to come together, you've got a quarterback now who has some valuable experience over the first 6 weeks of the season and having to take a little bit more on his shoulders. The second thing I take away from the game is the run game really got going. And it really, I think when you look at where they were at going into this game, that it had been a little bit more hit or miss. They rushed for 228 yards. They had 6.9 yards per carry. They had explosives. Jordan Mason, we'll see what happens with him from an injury standpoint, but he had a 38-yard run. They bring in Garendo. When Mason was hurt, he averaged almost 10 yards a carry. Of course, a lot of that was in the strength of a 76-yard run. The run game's in a really good spot, and that's a good place to be when you don't have Christian McCaffrey in there. And the hope is they will get Christian McCaffrey back in time. But for right now, the run game seems like it's pulling in the direction that it needs to be pulling in. And then my third thing to take away is just, I think, on Thursday night, they really vanquished a couple of demons. The first one is the red zone issue that they'd had. They were 1 of 6 in that loss to Arizona in the red zone. They struggled some in the red zone, even against a bad New England team. And in the first half, they weren't able to punch it in the red zone. They come back in the second half, and they're able to play much better in the red zone. George Kittle has a couple of red zone touchdowns at the end of the game. You had Kyle Juszczyk scoring on an inside run. So real progress in the red zone. That vanquishes one of the demons from their ups and downs over the last few weeks. Then the other demon is blowing leads, and it looked like it could happen here. At one point, they were up 23-3. That winds up getting that deficit winds up getting narrowed to 23-17. The Seahawks are in position. They've got the crowd back into it to come back. Even after the Niners scored, the Seahawks fought back again, and the Niners were able to close out a division opponent, something they weren't able to do against the Cardinals or Rams. So those two demons seem to have been vanquished on this Thursday night. Again, the hope is that they get a little bit healthier. Deebo Samuel will get healthier. I think you saw a different version of him last night. Brandon Ayuk has continued to work his way back into playing shape after missing so much practice time over the summer. George Kittle's healthier and played great last night. And then you hope you get Christian McCaffrey back at some point, maybe in November. But this is a team that's coming together, and I think last night's also indicative of how they're going to have to win games. The defense isn't what it was the last few years. It's gotten a little older in spots. Javon Hargrave is out for the year. They still don't have Dre Greenlaw back. So they showed themselves last night of being capable of winning a shootout, which is a really good thing. All right, our second topic for today is where the New York Jets are coming out of this week. And it's an interesting situation because you look at where they've been over the first 5 weeks of the season. This hasn't been a complete dumpster fire. They were able to blow out the Patriots. They were able to survive, an ugly game against the Titans. The last 2 weeks have been really bad. But one of the reasons why so many people were shocked by the firing of Robert Saleh internally is because the way they looked at it, it was a couple things here against Denver, a couple things there against Minnesota, and they still had the chance to play for first place in the division on Monday night against Buffalo. So, to understand a little bit more about how this happened, we will explain how it all went down. The meeting between Woody Johnson and Robert Saleh was very, very short. It's about a 90-second meeting. Woody Johnson went into Robert Saleh's office, let him know we're going in a different direction. There was no real explanation why, and it was over. So Robert Saleh is out. Robert Saleh had actually planned on making the change in offensive play callers, going from Nathaniel Hackett to Todd Downing. Jeff Ulbrich took some time and made the same decision, wound up at the same conclusion that Saleh was at, which is that they need a change in offense. Getting the locker room back on board, a little bit of a challenge, but I think Jeff Ulbrich will be fine. That locker room loves Robert Saleh. The prevailing thought in that locker room coming out of the events of Tuesday were, how is this going to help us? That was the main thing. How in the world is this possibly going to help us? This is a very good defense that the Jets have. It's a defensive-minded head coach who is planning on making changes on offense. Jeff Ulbrich now will be stretched a little thin, having both the duties of being the defensive play caller and the head coach on his plate. But ultimately, I do think Ulbrich's going to be able to unite the team and bring the team together. He's got some of the same qualities Saleh has as a unifier. He's a popular figure in that building. He's got some qualities Dan Campbell has as far as motivating guys. His message to the team in their first team meeting on Thursday to get ready for the Bills was for everybody to lock arms, and then it's going to be the Jets against the world from here on out. So I think Jeff Ulbrich's up to the challenge. And just talking to Saleh, just a little bit ago, the one thing he did want out there was that he still believes in the players that are in that locker room and the team they put together. He thinks they're going to the playoffs. And now it's on Ulbrich to show over the course of the 11 games, 12 games they have left, that they can be the team that everybody thought they were going to be coming into the year. And that, of course, starts on Monday at the Meadowlands against the Buffalo Bills. It's not a great spot to be in, of course. Having fired your coach 5 weeks into the season, we'll see if they get the bounce that some other teams have gotten in the past from moving to an interim coach. I just can't remember a scenario like this where the team was still in it. There wasn't like really a dumpster fire feel in that locker room. The locker room was fine. Like I just can't think of another scenario quite like this one where a firing happens quite this way. But of course, Robert Saleh wasn't Woody Johnson's hire. He was Christopher Johnson's hire while Woody was still overseas in the UK serving as ambassador. Woody and Saleh never had that connection that sometimes you see between owner and coach. So we are where we are on that now. Finally, third topic. We have a fourth first-round quarterback starting now. Of course, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, and Caleb Williams all start from week one. That left three quarterbacks sitting. J.J. McCarthy, of course, that is what it is. He's hurt. He's out for the year. We won't see him in 2024. Michael Penix is playing behind Kirk Cousins. And this week, Drake Maye will start his first game. The Patriots play the Texans on Sunday. And I think the best way to explain this one is this is just about the best player playing. And Drake Maye made a lot of progress over the course of the summer with his footwork, with his mechanics, with his eye discipline. And if you watch the Patriots preseason games, you saw week over week, he was getting a little bit better. And by the time they played their last preseason game against Washington, he looked like a pretty good player. So he was always the most talented player in that room. From the minute he was drafted, he was the most talented player in the Patriots quarterback room. It was starting to get to the point over the last couple of weeks where he became the best quarterback in that room. And your veteran players don't care about your 3-year plan. Your veteran players don't want to hear, well, we have to redshirt the guy to protect it. They've got a season to play. They've got careers to protect. 80%, 90% of those guys don't know where they're going to be playing next year. Their interest is in what's going to give me the best chance to win, what's going to give me the best chance to succeed individually so I can continue my career and make money next year and into the future. And the feeling, of course, again, if there's a guy who is your best quarterback, the most important position on the field, will be, why isn't that guy out there if things aren't going right? And they're 1-4. They haven't looked good the last few weeks. So maybe part of this is about needing a spark, but part of it is about this just being the best quarterback for the team now. Where I would argue with the decision is, I don't know if this is a spot to put him out there because he's going against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans can score, which puts the Patriots in a position where they could be playing from behind. The Houston Texans can also create negative yardage with their aggressive defensive front with Will Anderson and Daniil Hunter. Don't like that matchup of those two against the Patriots offensive tackles. So you could find yourself playing from behind. You could find yourself in long yardage. You could find yourself with Anderson and Hunter having their ears pinned back. I think this one could get pretty ugly pretty quick. So if this were me, if this were my decision, I think I would have done what I needed to do to manage the quarterbacks in a way where I could get another week. But in a certain way too, this is the price that you pay if you're the Patriots for having a stopgap quarterback, because Jacoby Brissett, as admirable as the job he's done over the last 5 weeks is, as well liked as he is, as tough as he is in taking all the hits, as much knowledge of Alex Van Pelt's offense as he has, he's not a great quarterback. And so the likelihood was this was going to happen at some point. And in a certain way, you can look at the situation in Atlanta as sort of the antithesis of this, where they have Kirk Cousins. The chance of Michael Penix is as impressive as he's been behind the scenes. That he's going to pass Kirk Cousins and be the best option for the Atlanta Falcons right now in 2024 is pretty slim. Like the chances of that happening this year, where the locker room looks at it and says, that guy over there is the best guy for our team, it's pretty slim because of the level of quarterback the Patriots have and the level of veteran quarterback the Patriots have in Jacoby Brissett. The likelihood from the start was that was going to happen at some point with Drake Maye over the course of this year. We are there now, which is why Drake Maye is the quarterback and will be the quarterback going forward. Again, when you make these decisions, generally the Tua situation in 2020 and in Miami notwithstanding, generally when you make these decisions, they are for the rest of the year. I'd be shocked if Drake Maye isn't the quarterback going forward for the Patriots. Just might look a little rough here with his first start coming against the Houston Texans. That's it for the Breer Report for October the 11th. Enjoy week 6, everybody. We'll be back here with you on Tuesday.